Yo, what's good YouTube? Welcome back to another video. So guys, on today's video I actually came up with something unique and special. I came up with an Afro-EDM genre, so you really do have to stick to the end to find out what it sounds like. So without so much of your time, let's get to today's video. Hey, idea for this actually came from the Bloody Samaritan a cappella contest from BeatStars. So I actually got this a cappella from the Bloody Samaritan song by Ayra Starr. So I wanted to just come up with something different from everybody, so I decided to do maybe an Afro-EDM remake. These are all the a cappellas, and I'm just going to play every single thing, step by step, and then show you guys how I made this whole track. So you guys, for the a cappella I actually chopped out the part that I wanted to use, and then this is what they all sound like.
I see you watching my stories, I see you gauging my lifestyle, I see you watching my movements. This bad bitch bad every day. Bad killer, bloody Samaritan, protect my energy from your bad aura. Let my pastor say I be my healer, everything I desire I go to see him. I'm feeling vibes on vibes, I'm a ticking dynamite. I blow your candle like don't fake you, don't fake you, got it, don't fake you, don't fake you, got it.
By showing you guys how I made this part right here. So what I did first was I got the Fruity Slice X, and then I just threw the acapella in here, and I went over to the piano roll. So right here in the piano roll I just messed around with the MIDI, and then I came up with this. So yeah guys, actually this gives it more vibe, it gives it more movement, and makes the drop sound a whole lot more full. And I really love the way it sounded, and this makes it sound more like an EDM track. So yeah guys, moving on straight to the effect. The first thing I did is add a Fruity parameter EQ. I just cut out some of the lows. I also added Fruity Reverb 2, and I used the venue preset. The next thing I added is a Fruity peak controller. This just controls the reverb, because I actually didn't want the reverb to be there for every part of the vocals. So if I should play this, you can actually see how it controls and automates the reverb. Added is a Fruity Delay 3. I used the ping pong preset, and I set the width to 16%. I also added the wider just to widen the sound, and I set it to 25%. And the last thing I did is add a compressor. I actually use this plugin called OTT. This is a really good multi-band compressor. I actually recommend this for you guys out there. So I just set the depth to 23%. That was basically all I did. So guys, when it comes to using OTT, I actually advise you guys not to over compress your sound. So for me, I actually like to set my depth to, let's say, 20, 23, or sometimes maybe 18, 17. It's just a personal preference. You can actually just mess around and find what's good for you. So you guys, actually moving on to the effects for the main vocals, I added the Fruity Reverb 2. I used the venue preset right here, and I also did the same thing. I added the Fruity peak controller just to control how much reverb is added to the acapella. The last thing I did is to add OTT one more time, and I set it to 13% this time. So moving on, I added additive keys with the Studio Grand preset, and this is what I just laid down. Let's go to my drop down menu. I went to helpers, I went to scale highlighting. I selected E as my root note, and then I selected the major scale. So once I got my scale, I just laid down my root notes. So the first chord I have here is this. Took this up an octave, but then I added this note right here. And for this part like this, I did, but then I took this like this. I made this a major, and then I took this up over here. Took this up, brought this from an A to a G sharp. This part I made this. So I made a 7th chord, and I took this up like this, and I deleted this, just added these 2 notes. Over here, this is just simple, so I just made a 7th chord also. For this part, I made the 7th chord, I took this up, I deleted this one, I took this one up like this, duplicated the top note, which is C sharp, I took this up like this. So I pretty much hope you guys get the idea of how I came up with the chord. I actually just manually clicked in the notes that fits in with the acapella. For the effect, I added the Fruity parameter EQ just to cut out some of the lows and cut out some of the highs. I also added the Fruity Reverb 2. I used the venue preset, and then the last thing I did is add a wider. Next thing I added is serum, and I used this pad called pad 2 right in the serum stock. I actually added 2 pads still in the stock or serum bank. I used this pad called PDIS Sunrise. So this is what they both sound like. So as you guys can already see, this is just the same chord from the piano. I just copied it. And moving on to the next pad from Serum, I just made this single note. Moving on to the effect, I basically routed the two pads to one mixer track, and then I just named it pad, so it would be easy for me to just add effect to both of them at once. First thing that I added is a fruity parameter EQ. I also added kickstart. This is what gives it that filter effect. So if I should play this, you can see how it cuts it and then brings it back up. And then the last thing I did is add OTT, and I set the depth to 25%. So yeah guys, moving on, I added the plug chord from Silent. It's called Sine Verb, and then this is what it sounds like. So yeah guys, this is the same thing as the piano chords. I just arpeggiated the chord, which means I just shortened them. And then moving on to the effect, I added the fruity parameter EQ, just cut out some of the lows, and then I added the fruity reverb 2 with the venue preset. So yeah guys, moving on, I added two guitar one shots. The first one is called Rise, and then the next one is called Crystal. These two are from my Rhapsody one shot kit. If you haven't checked this out, make sure to go check it out. The link is in the description. So this is what both sound like. So moving on to the effect, like I did for the other, I just linked both of them to the same mixer, and then I added the fruity parameter EQ, cut out some of the lows. I also added the fruity reverb 2. I added the peak controller just to automate how much I want the reverb, and then I also added the fruity delay 3 with the ping pong preset, and then I set it to 24%. And then I also added Valhalla Supermassive. I used the chorus lap preset right here in the mods, chorus lap preset, but then I set the mix level to 21%. And then the last thing I did is add OTT, and I set the depth to 23%. I added a sub bass from Savage Sound Lion Progressive House Sound Bank, and I used the sparkling sub preset, and then this is what it sounds like. I only added the fruity parameter EQ. I just cut out a lot of the highs because I wanted only the low end, and then I kind of like boosted the low. For the sub bass, I made it mono because I wanted it to just be in the middle. Moving on, I actually added two more bass. The first one is still the same sparkling sub bass, and then the next is called the Clean Grit, still from the Lion House Progressive Sound Bank from Savage Sound. And then moving on to the effect, I just routed everything to one single mixer track, and then I just named it mid bass. So first thing I did is add a fruity parameter EQ. I cut out some of the lows, and I also added OTT, and I set this to 22%. I also added the fruity fast disc, and I used this some oomph preset, and I brought the mix level down to like 18-20%. Moving on to the next thing that I added some synth chords. The first one is from Serum, and this is called Soul Feeling, still from the Savage Sound Progressive House Serum Bank. The next preset is called Nicky Romero right here. So moving on to the effects, I added the fruity parameter EQ, and I just cut out some of the lows. I also added OTT, and I set the depth to 42%. I added fruity reverb 2, and I also added fruity peak controller to control how much reverb I want. And then I also added shaper box, and I used this filter preset, and then I set the mix to 44%. I started adding in some ear candy, so I added this Atmos sound. And then this is what they all sound like together. Immediately right after, I started adding my drums. I started off by adding the kick, and then I added some clap, and then some ride, and then more rides, and I added this drum loop. And then this is what everything sounds like together. So basically that's every single thing that I did. So sit back, relax, and enjoy while I played the whole track for you guys to listen.
I see you watching my stories. I see you gauging my lifestyle. I see you watching my movements. This bad bitch bad every day. I know they look at your face. Bad man bad every day. Get on your knees and pray. To you they give me a face. Bad killer, bloody Samaritan. Protect my energy from your bad aura. Now my pastor say I be my healer, everything I desire. I couldn't see my rhythm flow like a river. If you get your walk, come on go and sit down. I go just para, come off my jigger. I go just stay, follow my dream. I'm feeling vibes on vibes. I'm a ticking dynamite. After your candle lights, you know I'm just that type. No, them no pick you my vibe. Them no pick you my vibe. You no pick you, you no pick you, you no pick you my. No pick you, no pick you. Put it, 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 no pick you, no pick you.
So I hope you guys really enjoy watching this video, and I hope you guys learned a thing or two. If you did, don't forget to like this video and also subscribe. And if you have any question, don't forget to leave that down in the comment section, and I'll definitely give you an answer. Catch you guys in the next video. I'm out of here. Peace.